Hello everyone, this is week 3 of my 5 weeks of development on my sand roguelike game, Dune Raider. It was at this point that I had overextended my original plan to finish the game in 2 weeks, and I knew that it would take at least 4 to finish what I had planned for the game at this moment. This week was spent finishing the combat system and adding some UI and sound effects to the game. I had plenty of time over the weekend to think about how to finish this combat system, and I came to a realization of how to do that. First, though, I had to redesign the enemy I had started the previous week. I wanted it to look more like a raft with sails on the side, similar to the player, and this would come into the combat. The idea was that instead of destroying the enemy ship, you disable it by slashing the sails on the side. And this would also take advantage of the fact that the player can only attack to the right of them. So you would have to do a strafing run on from behind to slash the left sail, and then you would have to do one from the front to slash the other sail. After that, I was thinking the enemy which I have called the barge at this point in time, would drop a loot crate that would increase the player's score. This would come in handy later, but at this moment it didn't really do anything. After that, I decided to handle the player taking damage. Originally, I had a one-hit and you die system, but this would quickly change later in the week as I come to realize just how difficult it is to not die in this game. Originally, the two ways you take damage would be from either an enemy or from bad surfing, but the latter has since been almost completely removed as the player never really gets enough airtime to cause themselves any harm when landing. Originally, I also had it work if you turned too sharply when going too fast, but that just proved to be annoying and too restrictive, so it was also removed. One thing that had bugged me up until now was the dunes, but I also came to the realization that I could never really fix them to my satisfaction. There are times when I feel like the dunes need to be bigger or smaller and all that, but I know that I could never really satisfy all of them unless I added all of them to the game. So I created a biome-based generation system. That way there would be areas of large dunes that were nice and open, and the standard smaller dunes. I also took the opportunity to rework the ruined structures so that they could spawn in clusters, similar to the ones that have been shown before in the devlog. There was a chance for a structure to have a bunch of ruined building fragments around it, but I felt like those needed to be much larger and also much more scarce, so I integrated them into the biome generation system as well. And with enough fine-tuning, I got it to a point that I liked, and I had all the variables exposed, so if I ever wanted to see a biome, I could. Next, it was about time I removed the never-ending silence from my game. Thanks to Kevin MacLeod, I think I pronounced that right, there is an entire website full of royalty-free music that I could source from, and there were quite a few songs that fit my needs. I also found some open license sound effects to put on my game as well, and that really made things feel more immersive. I also added a constant wind sound effect to the background to give the world that windy feeling. I think I turned it down later though. After that, it was time to get some UI up and running. I added the 3-hit system that I use now, and added a score counter for all the loot crates you pick up from enemies. Eventually, I would add a stylized and formatted speedometer, but for now, I left it as it is. And finally, the thing I was building up to with the UI and the score tracking, a game over screen that will record all your statistics for you. It took a little bit of effort to get the formatting correctly, but it was mostly working. And that concludes the 3rd week of development. The next week, I worked a lot on enemy variety and adding ideas I had aside from the barge that I have. And they all turned out pretty well. The following week, however, the 5th week, is mostly me fixing issues with those. Yeah, I will see you next time with the next video. Until then.